Welcome back to another episode of Video Vinyl Spotlight. My name's Rich from Deep Groove Mono. Today we are going to talk about yet another classic jazz album. The album in question, good old Herbie Hancock's Maiden Voyage. This is the Blue Note Classic Series reissue from last year, 2021. Another album in the canon of jazz classics that is not one of my personal favorites, although I still would say I have a deep appreciation for it. If anything, the title track is just one of my favorite tracks of all time. I wasn't introduced to jazz through this album, although I'm sure a lot of people are. But of course, Maiden Voyage, the song, totally hooked me instantly. What's not to love about this title track? Just so smooth, gentle sounding, calming, just really nice melody, very soft solos by everybody. One of my favorite things about this album is Tony Williams pinging on that ride cymbal, man. Other than Maiden Voyage, it took me a while for some reason to get into it, maybe because it's the last song on the record and it's after the more free-ish song on the album, Survival of the Fittest. But, I love Dolphin Dance, love it. Another really sweet, quiet sounding song that is a great mood setter. Great companion piece to Maiden Voyage, the first song. I like the up-tempo pace of Eye of the Hurricane. It's a good track to go into after Maiden Voyage, nice change of pace. Little One to me sounds a little free-ish for a ballad. It's listenable. I'll usually play the first side all the way through. I usually skip Survival of the Fittest. I'm just really not into free. I always come back to it and give free jazz another chance, and just never works for me. For example, I love the cover of Eric Dolphy's Out to Lunch so much, and I want to like the music, but I just can't get into it. Yeah, so Survival of the Fittest gets a pass for me. You might argue that it's not really free jazz or avant-garde or whatever, but I feel like it's kind of pushing the envelope, getting there. Maybe post-bop, but post-bop is, I guess, hit or miss for me, and what is and isn't post-bop is also open to interpretation. As far as pressings go, I love my CDP CD. That's the CDP is the catalog number, like the UPC barcode. I just call them CDP. It's from like the late 80s when Blue Note was bought by Capitol Records and they started putting out the first CDs mastered by Ron McMaster. I guess it was like an imprint of Capitol called Manhattan at the time was actually doing it, and I think that Michael Kuskuna had a lot to do with that. He was the reissue producer. Yeah, I love that original US CD reissue of Maiden Voyage. It's kind of on the quiet side, but at the same time, it's also very dynamic for that reason. A friend of mine told me that they eventually started reissuing that version of the CD mastered louder. The same friend is really into a lot of the original Japanese CDs from the mid-80s. And he really likes the Maiden Voyage Japanese reissue. He gave me a FLAC version of it. And other than that, I remember London Jazz Collector reviewed his original mono pressing of this album, and I thought it sounded amazing. One of the best sounding records I feel like he's posted on there. And for that reason, I always kind of looked for an original mono. Got a hold of one at some point. I can't even remember the circumstances. I don't have it anymore. But over the years, I've kind of softened my view on mono, and I can really dig stereo in a lot of instances, especially when it's like a great drummer who I really love the way they work the ride cymbal, like Tony Williams. I really like the stereo in those situations now, because you get all that extra definition. And I've also had original stereo pressings, many over the years. Actually, a long time ago, I had a West Coast Liberty pressing of Maiden Voyage. Like it was like a blue label with like a rectangular Blue Note logo. Yeah, I've had original stereo pressings, earless with the ear. Done needle drops of them. Sound good. Honestly, I love the dead accuracy of my CD reissue compared to the originals. And this cut by Kevin Gray is just outstanding. As usual, he beats other engineers out in terms of dynamic range. Lots of dynamics. Dynamics tend to make it sound a little more lifelike. Depending on the record, I actually prefer a more punchy sound with less dynamics. This album, I love the wider dynamic range, so couldn't be happier with this pressing. Always love this album art. Is it recommended? Well, it's not my favorite classic jazz album. That being said, you know, Maiden Voyage is one of my most listened to jazz songs of all time. And Dolphin Dance is getting up there too. That's it for now. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Stay tuned.